Hey everybody, welcome to episode 133 of the AskDAP show, where I answer your Volkswagen and Audi questions. On this episode, we talk about standard automatic transmissions versus DSG transmissions, adjusting Mark 7 xenon headlights, and can dealer techs be the only one to do warranty work? Okay, so before we get into our questions, obviously I'm sitting up high in a really weird place at our new facility. So this is our old sign. It happened to fly off our old building during Florence. So we had new art. We were looking for something to put up here since this is a non-load supported area. I don't know why I'm sitting up here, but sign got damaged in Florence, so we decided to put it up here, and it will be art for our warehouse, and then maybe a little throwback to our, not our original location, because we were in two different places before that, but one of our earlier locations. So I thought it was a cool little intro. Let's get into our questions.
Kevin Cox via YouTube asked, I would like your perspective on the traditional VW automatic against the DSG. Should I have coughed up the extra $5,000 for a DSG? Is their standard auto even comparable with performance and modification to the DSG? How much would a DSG swap cost, or am I overthinking this?
Okay, so DSG versus traditional automatic. So let's start with a real basic of how traditional automatic transmissions work. They basically, a traditional automatic transmission is a fluid pump. It takes the fluid, it pumps it through a set of clutch packs that uses that fluid pressure to clamp down. All that stuff has to run through a system which is your valve body, which sends the fluid and tells it which clutch pack to actuate, essentially. That is a very inefficient system, and certainly takes much more time than a DSG. So comparing a DSG to a traditional automatic is not even close. DSG transmissions are head and shoulders above a standard automatic trans. What the problem is that obviously you're talking about swapping from one to the other or which one's better, and it's not even close. DSG is far better when it comes to overall performance, and it's not even close. Now, the next question is should you have coughed up the money? I mean, that's obviously a whole different ballgame because that's a matter of what's best for you and what you think. A DSG, I think they shift in 0.2 of a second or something like that. You can't shift that fast in any manual transmission car. No one can shift as fast as a DSG. So you're not going to be able to do that certainly in a standard automatic. With that said, you're talking about swapping it, or is it worth $5,000? So I think you're talking about a different car would be my assumption, because I don't know that 1.8T, I believe it had a 1.8T Golf, and I don't believe there were any 1.8T Golfs that were available with DSGs, I think, unless I think the All-Track is, and I don't know if there's any other trim models. Maybe a 4Motion Golf wagon might be available with DSG as well, probably so, because it would make two different versions. So most likely that's the case, but I'm not sure. Maybe you're talking about going to a GTI, which is a different. You're getting more than just a DSG trans, because you're getting, the performance, the suspension, the performance, the aesthetics, along with the transmission. So you're getting much more than just one basic thing from a Golf to a GTI. Then you're talking about swapping transmissions. I wouldn't recommend swapping a trans. I think you'd be better off just getting a new car, frankly. There are probably people who have done so. I suspect the 1.8T probably would spline with a DSG trans, but then you have to make sure that the ECU can communicate with the DSG control unit, and that it's not going to freak out because the trans isn't doing what it's expecting it to do. So I have no idea what ramifications it would have by swapping a DSG trans in, or the problems that you might run into along the way. So in these circumstances, I always recommend you're probably better off getting your head beat in by trading in a brand new car than trying to swap to a DSG trans, which is not going to be probably super easy to find, but then retrofitting it is a whole different ballgame on top of that. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
BS Spencer 42 via VWvortex asks, to make a long story short, my driver's seat right hand bolster seam is failing and is beginning to open up on my GTI 2017. So I brought it in today to have VW look at it for warranty, and they called me later this afternoon wanting to call in the contract company to come stitch it up. This sounds very fishy to me, but is it legitimate? I was under the impression that only certified VW technicians could do warranty work.
Okay, so you have warranty work that is being done at a dealer, and it's being done by a third party. So this isn't terribly uncommon, although I wouldn't expect most people would have had experience knowing this, because usually you're not going to kind of know all the details. A lot of people just drop their car off, it gets fixed, you pick it up, and that's the end of it. There are circumstances where you will have third-party people coming. Windshields would be one example. Interior trim. Normally, I don't know details about how this type of thing is working now. I believe most dealers probably can get what would be called sublet work done under warranty during certain circumstances. I don't know if maybe there's some sort of requirement of attempting to repair before replacement. Dealers, the only thing that a dealer would ever do is replace the seat cover. So from the perspective of somebody who's on the parts side, the only thing you do is purchase the seat cover as a replacement and then replace that. Depending on the dealer, they may even sublet that kind of work. In the dealer I worked at, techs would actually do seat covers. They are not awesome. They're brutal to deal with if anybody's ever dealt with hog rings. They're extremely tough to deal with, and because most technicians aren't really super familiar with interior trim. I've seen people rip seat covers, because they're trying to force it, and they're not really super experienced with working with seat covers and manipulating them to get them to fit right, because they are super tight on top of the backrest and the bottom. The backrest is usually harder than the bottom, from what I recall, because you have to kind of put it over and then get it all the way down, and depending on how bolstered the seat is, that could be a problem. So that certainly is not out of the norm. It's going to be uncommon as far as, they're not going to necessarily have it happen that often, but windshields, interior trim, mostly only like upholstery work would be the things that I would expect. And then some of the current model sunroofs might also be subletted, because they have to be cut out kind of like a windshield, where they have to actually be cut out of the vehicle because they're basically just glued in. That is another one that I think that some dealers, depending on the dealer, probably would sublet as well. So those are probably the only circumstances where I expect to see that, but it is definitely not super weird.
Matthew Ferrin via YouTube asked, I have a 2008 Mark V GTI with a droopy driver's side headlight. My car is not lowered. I temporarily fixed the problem by manually adjusting the headlight up to an acceptable height. But now the flash to patch lights are aimed at the top of the pine trees, so how do I diagnose and fix the actual problem? I have an obdeleven with Pro. Love the show, thanks.
Alright, so this question was asked on a video we recently put out about adjusting xenon headlights after lowering your car. So what I don't know what's going on here, but what I suspect is going on is that the range adjustment on that particular vehicle is actually messed up in some way, and it's completely gone in one way or the other. I suspect you might end up with fault codes related to that, so you probably can use an obdeleven to scan for faults and maybe check adaptation to see if it will go through the range of checking adaptation, and that would probably give you a fault, or say out of range, or something related to that. It may just have a fault, a static fault that's there already. The only way that I would suggest maybe diagnosing this is try swapping them from side to side to see if that's solvable. I don't know if, the one thing I'm not sure of is, I'm not sure if the motors themselves are actually serviceable separately. They probably are, but I just don't know off the top of my head. I would have to look it up to know. And if they're interchangeable side to side. Most times, most things on headlights are interchangeable side to side when it comes to xenon parts, as far as like modules and stuff like that. So I suspect that it could be module related as well. So you might try to swapping the modules from headlight to headlight and see if it addresses it, and that will at least help you decide if you have something going on. That's usually the easiest way to diagnose any xenon problem, which we also put a video out a while back about changing Mark V xenon bulbs. with the headlight out of the vehicle showing you that, so you can at least get an idea of what you're looking at on the outside of the headlight in that video, and we'll link to that in the description where you can check that video out. So good luck with diagnosing that problem.
A and Bikes via YouTube asked, you said for this car it is channel 011. What if I have a Mark 7 GTI? How do I find the channel for my car?
Okay, so this question was also asked on the S4 headlight adjustment, or what to do after lowering your car for xenon headlight adjustment. I don't know specifics about Mark 7, and I didn't talk about it in that video because I actually think that the interface is going to be slightly different on Mark 7. So the best example I can show you in that is a video that I shot around misfires. I shot a video a long time ago with obdeleven showing diagnosing misfires and how to diagnose a misfire on our Project Mark 7 back in the day. We got a lot of on that video because the people who have previous generation vehicles had a slightly different interface where it was based on data block channels, much like what you saw with the S4 video. And because the Mark 7 uses, instead of data blocks, they use actual text-based searches that describe what the channel is or does, or the functionality of it, instead of a number-based data block channel to do X, Y, and Z. So what ended up happening is, on the misfire video, you could type in misfire, and it would bring up the misfire recognition channels, and you can just select them. But on previous generation vehicles, which is basically every other car that came before the Mark 7, all you had to do is go to channel 14, 15, and 16 for diagnostics. So we had to actually have shot 2 videos on how to diagnose misfires for Volkswagen and Audis for that reason. So we have a newer video and an older video, depending on what vehicle you have. So we probably will shoot another video if we ever have a Mark 7 around that has xenon headlights that we do something on, that we can just quick shoot a video, because it's not a super hard video for us to put together, just a matter of logistics. But what I suspect you're going to need to do is just go into the headlight. It's either going to be in, I don't know for sure, because off the top of my head I'm not positive, it's either going to be in the central electrics control module, or if your vehicle has its own headlight control module selection that allows you to actually go into the headlight control modules themselves, it may be in there. But then you're going to go to basic settings, and it should have a basic settings channel that says like headlight adjustment adaptation or something like that. So most likely that's what you're going to be looking for. I don't know for sure, but that's where you would want to go to address it. So either central electrics on a Mark 7, or going to be in a headlight control module, and you'll go into that information and get it all worked out. So if we ever do run across a car that we have the opportunity to shoot that video on, we probably will do so, but that's the best information I can give you at this time. Thank you so much for watching episode 133 of the AskDAP show, where I answer your Volkswagen and Audi questions. If you have any questions or comments about the questions answered in this show, be sure to leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.